Oh, no signal. I don't have home internet.
Oh, that's a red flag.
It's time for real home internet. Get Xfinity Internet and mobile for just $50 a month during our Xfinity 10G network launch celebration. Switch today.
Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Sports Goofs number 168. I'm Francisco, and I'm joined by my good buddies Andrew and Charles. Andrew, what's up? How's it doing? How's it being? How's it going?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm sick. I'm sick. But I'm okay. I took some Dayquil.
I'm kind of in the same boat as well. Apologies to everyone watching. You're going to be hearing a lot of sniffles today and occasional sneezes.
I didn't realize that they carded you for buying Dayquil and NyQuil. That was weird. That was a weird thing for me. I went to CVS.
I think it's a new thing. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think people are starting to mix them and use them for illegal drug making or some shit.
It's like cheap lean.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on that.
Well then, that's fun, I guess. So, what's up, Charles? How's it doing? How's it being?
I have this sick memory of my time in law school where I accidentally took like a chug of energy drink when I had a Dayquil NyQuil kind of combo, and the crack outness was fantastic. I'm a goofin. I'm around. You guys are sick. I'm sick as fuck, as the kids say. Always be ready. This is why I take. I guess I'm gonna brag here. I take like 3 pills of vitamin C daily to try to avoid, because I am the worst person being sick. I'm like, I over exaggerate in every concept, so I feel bad for both of you. I'm trying to figure out what game to play, so I'm still not over the wrestling hangover. That was WrestleMania, so I feel like if I see WWE 2K22,
I
mess with me.
In the tweet for the description for this, I call this Charles's post WrestleMania clarity right now.
I mean, that's fair, because when I play that during the show, I kind of just do the My Universe mode, so I can kind of be my own creative and make the matches I want to make instead of what Vinnie Mac gives me in real life. But last week I played a little DMC, but it was such a big cage that I only played it for like a second. And I tried it before the show came on, but I couldn't do the final boss because I forgot how to do combos. So I'm like, all right, I'll do an hour of fighters. And my thing is I could do a shooter, but the PlayStation 5 sound effects sometimes come out, and I don't want that to get caught in the audio feed. And I've been doing a lot of Switch lately, a whole lot of Switch the last couple of games. So I need to take a break from that. I was playing an hour of Bayonetta before we jumped onto this show. So, let it, you can't, how it is. If you got pets or multiple children, you can't just ignore one for the other, right? You have to give them both equal.
Yeah, my gaming fervor has been dampened a bit. I mentioned, I played Homefront. That was really the last major single player game that I played. Because, multiplayer is dead now for that thing. And it ruined me. It's just it was a mistake. I shouldn't have done what I did, but I played through it.
We tend to be in the lull.
Yeah,
we tend to be in the lull during this year.
So I've been tinkering with MLB. I've been playing with the Xbox One, like the free to play stuff. I played this thing called Crossfire, which is just like a generic PvP shooter thing, but I did pretty good in my first round of that game. And then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. It's simple, small little arenas that you're fighting in, kind of, military shooter, but I kind of reminded a little bit of like Quake in some sort of way. But then, I get a notification when I open the game. And it's like, hey guys, thanks for all the support. We're closing down our services in May. I'm like, wow. Finally, a game that I actually kind of enjoyed, and it's dying already. So, go figure. And I'm not jumping onto Call of Duty, any of that stuff. I tried to play Apex, couldn't get into that. I
never understood the Apex love.
Yeah, I played.
Hey, Francisco.
Yes, Andrew.
Have you tried Raid Shadow Legends?
Oh, well, Andrew, I have tried Raid Shadow Legends. Their live services aren't going down anytime soon, and they have around like 600 different champions in-game rewards. If you get to level 15, level 25, you get some stuff. You can just put in a promo code MARSESP, and you guys can get some goodies. Or you can head down to our link. I think it's like raidshadow.net/sportsgoofs. I don't know. It's something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere down there on Twitch. You can click on that and you can head on over and have some fun with that. Download it now for your PC, your Mac, on mobile phones, your iOS, your Androids, what have you, your Andrews as well. I'm sure you can play Raid Shadow Legends on Andrew. There you go. And so
Sorry.
What?
I just have this, imagining of Andrew. Like, remember Bicentennial Man?
With Robin Williams?
And he's a robot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just had this image for whatever reason of Andrew coming back, not dying, and then becoming part robot and like a nanny, and then someone plugging Raid Shadow Legends on them.
Definitely something you can
My
see.
brain
Do you know what always bothered me about Bicentennial Man?
That's not good.
There was that one scene. There was that one scene in the trailer where a female bot saying UGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. But they never showed that in the movie. I am annoyed by it to this day for the false advertising.
You mean to tell me that Warner, or whoever the distributing company, which I think was Warner Bros., showed restraint to Christopher Columbus, who made a lot of terrible movies, just man's more renowned for Mrs. Doubtfire and then the first two Harry Potters, but I'm going to say it right now, couldn't come up with an original thought if he tried. Bicentennial was Christopher Columbus by? I don't want to throw that heat in that slander. Well, that's I want to make sure, but I'm almost certain it was him. So welcome. This is a sports show, everybody.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus did. Hot damn, I'm good. Screw that movie. That was the weird Robin Williams generational trend for those 3 years. Where he was just making weird movies like that. 1 Hour Photo, fantastic. And Insomnia. Christopher Nolan's Insomnia. And then there was a one with Edward Norton, where Death to Smoochie. Those 4 years were just very weird.
Yeah, Death to Smoochie. I remember watching that on Comedy Central. Yeah, there's a lot of decent talent too, but you're like, sports show, everybody. I just flung muck at Christopher Columbus. Makes me feel good sometimes. I still remember him for having everybody clap for Hagrid, and me when I was an avid Harry Potter reader. I was like, "This is not in the book. Why are we doing this?" I still feel that way now. Looking at you, Steve Kloves, who wrote Prisoner of Azkaban, trash ass movie. You're the reason why, Steve Kloves, they have to make a damn 7-season Harry Potter show on HBO Max. Not that I need to watch. Just read the book or watch the movies. You don't need this oversaturation, just like sports. Mm.
Why do I need an XFL for? You're already on week 9, Rock? You go to playoffs? There's playoffs in your real world? I thought everybody gets a participation. Could you imagine the winner of XFL? You know what the hell would be for me? Your entire family copy of Black Adam, terrible movie, and Terramano, tequila. I would just, I'll just go sell cars or something. No, thank you.
Sheesh. I was watching, gosh, man. I keep remembering Black Adam. I'm just like, that was a movie.
And then my friends there look me in the eye and say, that wasn't that bad. I'm like, I will. Snuff films.
What was the best part of that movie? If you had to, was it Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate?
When I went when it went to credits. When it went to credits. When it went to credits.
Well, Charles went to credits because he
properly casted.
Yeah, you saw the Mario movie, right?
I cannot confirm or deny right now.
Okay,
That
all right.
may be a non-sponsor. That may not be a non-sponsor.
Okay, well then.
Don't rub my shine here.
So we were talking before the show to start because we were talking about show games that you're trying to play something. Charles Andrews plays MLB on the side, and we were talking about some things. But there's like it was a prop that I heard on a different podcast, and I think I'd like to talk about it here just for a little bit because we'll talk about NHL and things like that. Andrew has a couple topics that he actually wants to talk about as well. We're only 11 minutes in, so we got time for this. This is a short thing. Maybe it could be longer, but regardless, I mean, baseball's happening. It's there. It's going on.
It will be a short cage. I'll tell you that now.
The Rays are 10-0. They're spanking it's already 2-0 versus the Red Sox, which confirms that the Red Sox are a trash team. Because it seems like whoever the Rays beat are considered a trash team. So here we are. The Red Sox are trash, everybody. It's official. So Thank you, Tampa, for confirming that. And speaking of like the gaming and stuff, is there a video game that was released, let's say like a decade or something like that since you were 10 years old that you would take back to your 10-year-old self to blow their minds? And what game would that be?
As an adult?
Yeah. You go back and you're like, here you go, and you just kind of you give them the console of the game and you kind of just disappear.
So wait. So this is a current game that I would take back to my 10-year-old self?
I'm not just I'm just gonna like the caveat. So like we're all like 30. So let's say a game that released in your 20s, that you would take back to your 10-year-old self. Because like I would think that a game since then would be like leaps and bounds higher than, because like when I was 10 years old it was like the N64, and then by the time I was like 10 years later it was like you got the PS3, the Xbox 360, the Wii, things like that. Or heck, we could even go a little like 15 years later. But regardless, like a game that like absolutely like mind blowing to your younger self. Like you wouldn't have left your home because you would have been consumed with this futuristic little thing that came out. You can even do like movies and stuff like that, but I don't think movies it would be as mind blowing as a video game. The question is,
am I bringing the same console too?
Yeah, you're bringing the console in the game. Like you're not putting God of War 2018 on the PS1. You're bringing the console with you and just like, here's the console, here's the game, here you go, you little 10-year-old self, here's the future. I gotta go.
One game, so I have to Connor, basically.
Well, for me, considering that the vast majority of games that I played were sports games, pretty much any, particularly baseball or hockey games, NHL, whatever the most recent NHL or MLB game, if only just to show the graphical increase, that in of itself would blow my mind. Because, I used to think, and honestly, let's be honest, all of us when we were younger thought, wow, these graphics are so lifelike and amazing. And then imagine Halo. That was another game that I played when I was younger. Imagine Halo 1 graphics, and then all of a sudden you've got Halo Reach, or that came out about, or I'd say Halo Reach because that was the last good Halo game. Or in terms of just graphics, whatever the most current Halo game would be in that time period you're talking about. I think the story would have been less important to me. It would have been more about just seeing the graphic change and how much it had jumped forward.
Yeah.
Oh, and then also for the baseball one, being able to say, I can play as myself for real now? Like, I remember that was my reaction when the first Road to the Show came out. So, yeah, that would probably be my answer, is any sports game. It would be more for the graphics.
Okay. How about you? How about you, Charles? You're giving it some thought.
I mean, if you gave me N64 era or PS1 era, I would disagree on the graphics, because those graphics were known to be trash. There was only select games that really made it work. Like, I think of my N64, the WWF No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000s look good, but man, there's some bad pixelation on the N64. Like oh man, I feel like all the nerds are going to beat the shit out of me. I don't understand how people can like Final Fantasy VII graphically at the PS1, where it literally looks like cheap Dollar Tree toys. I'm just saying that right now. So you should love any kind of console generation that came afterwards, whether it be PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Switch. Here's my question to you, Andrew. And this is, you talk about graphics. Yeah. I talk about scope. And I talk about innovation and ingenuity, because you look at a Nintendo brand game, for the longest time, for the first the first 3 or 4 consoles that came from Nintendo, NES, Super NES, GameCube, not counting the handholds, were kind of bland with originality. And it's then when you're getting, like, the GameCube was just weird for the controller, right? But it always actually looks, to be honest with you, looks superior graphics than the Xbox, just saying. And on par with the PS2, just from what I remember. But the idea of, you talk about the PS2 generations now, an N64, are we saying when I was 10 or when the consoles came out? This is very important.
When you were 10 years old, not when the consoles came out. When you're 10 years old. You're a 10-year-old little boy.
So 10 was N60. I got to put my controller down so I can think on this. 10 was N64, PS1, Sega. So still right.
Yeah, Dreamcast. Yeah.
I think introducing 2 things, an ability to, if you gave me a Wii game or a Switch game that requires you to use the remote and the motion controls, it would be something supreme, because it actually made you feel more engaged in it than just sitting on the TV coming into it. Like if you gave me Mario Galaxy or Galaxy 2 on that component, it's an engagement that you don't have. The PS3 tried to do some weird stuff, if you remember, with the motion control, but it was kind of weird. PS5 haptic features are nothing original, it's just better vibrations, right? But the N64, we were given the rumble pack, and that was a game changer for all of us. But I would say it's a twofold component, and it's not a fair answer, but I'm sorry, this is the answer you're going to get. I would give them Wii Mario Galaxy 1 or 2, because that to me was very engaged, because on one hand you're using the controller to get the sprites, on the other hand you're really coursing Mario, and you can shake and you could actually do performance moves, because the idea is, a console, I'm going to kind of cheapen on the console, if you can engage in any way, like if you had a Harry Potter game with the Wii, I can cast like I'm doing spells, or Spider-Man, like I'm flipping it out there. So that's one. And then 2, I would really say, Andrew had mentioned, hey, you see, he's giving the game, I'm giving you the console. But when you're talking about games, the fact that you can do online gameplay is something with your buddies. It's still something so great now, because 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old Charles was 1999 or 2000, and I moved around a lot as a kid. Not to get into that story, but there was a consistency. Once you're moved, you're gone. You can't hold those social relationships. You didn't have social media. You can call on the landline. What the hell are you supposed to stop when you're 10? You're no pen pals. So the idea to go from there. So, and I didn't do Madden until like 2005, so I could play any capacity. So what can I say is a big, like, well, shit, man. You know what? Splatoon was a game changer. I'm just saying. But I didn't have the voice functionality of that one either. So I'm sorry, I can't give you an answer on that one, but I'll give you an answer, sure. Console-wise, importance of the scope and the gameplay, but, I think scope of the gameplay is there. But, it's... graphics are one thing, but it's story. But I would actually say, and I know this sounds like a cop-out, though, but on a spectacle, I think if I played Uncharted 2 for the first time when I was 10 years old, I would have creamed my pants. It has different stories.
It's funny, Charles. It's funny. I was just about to say, as I was thinking about it, because 10 years old it was 2002 for me. Halo came out just a couple of months before I turned 10.
Yeah.
So I think So my 10-year-old console generation would be Xbox, PS2. I think you're right. If I had access to Uncharted, which I'll be honest, I mean, again, I haven't played a lot of story mode type games, but Halo and Uncharted like my two favorite franchises. So I think if I had access to Uncharted, any of them really, I would have been my mind blown. I mean, my mind was blown when I first played that demo in fucking Walmart. So
yeah, I'll tell you why.
I don't know. Uncharted is like a movie and a video game. It's not a movie video game. It's not a video game movie. It's a movie video game.
It's
amazing.
better than the actual movie that they made of the video game, I would assume.
That is true.
And the reason why I would say Uncharted 2, just for example, I think that's my favorite one. Sometimes 4 takes it, but you're mixing in beautiful graphics, good story, action component. But I'm from the platformer generation, so there's not a surprise where I put in Galaxy as an option because it's taken the highest evolution of Mario for me. And even though I love Mario Odyssey, Galaxy is very, very. You guys heard me play it last year.
I would have brought Odyssey to my 10-year-old self, to be honest.
Yeah, well, now you can segue. What are you bringing to the 10-year-old?
I'm bringing Odyssey as
Odyssey's great.
If as the game, because as much as I love Galaxy or Galaxy 2, I think Odyssey would have been like it would have blown my 10-year-old mind just from the graphics alone and just comparing it to Super Mario 64, because that was really what Odyssey was kind of more of the spiritual successor of. Because Galaxy and Galaxy 2 were kind of their own thing.
Galaxy 3.
Odyssey was just its own thing. Like, it was more like Mario 64. There was so many references to Mario 64. It was insane. And like, if you go and deep dive it on YouTube and stuff like that, you can see how like basically that was what they were trying to do. It was like Mario 64, but 10 times better than what it was. So that's probably the game I would choose as like that's the game. But if like 10 years old, 97 for me. So yeah, I think I did get an N64 that year, but let's say if you caught me, I think I did get an N64 that year. Maybe I think later on in 97. I don't know if I had the Saturn. Because if I had the Saturn, then I'd have to bring like Sonic Frontiers or something. Because like even Sonic Frontiers for me as a mid 30-year-old here, like Sonic Frontiers, like I was just smiling end to end while I was playing that game. And Sonic games have been terrible for like the longest time, but Sonic Frontiers brought a smile to my face. I can't wait for all the DLC to drop. There's a bunch of it still dropping. I'm not going back to the game for like a year.
Why I won't play it yet.
Honestly, we shouldn't play it until like maybe like November, like because that's when the game released last year. Like there's so many new things that they've added. They're adding the spin dash now. They're gonna add the extra characters, so it's gonna be a completely different game by the time I go back to it, which I will. And then so that's what I'm waiting on for that. So because like Breath of the Wild seems like a cop out, even though Breath of the Wild, but even that I didn't even play a Zelda game by that point. So I don't know if my 10-year-old self would have handled it.
What?
Yeah,
I wouldn't want Breath of the Wild either because it's so you got to remember you're also 10, so you're still dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah,
the intuition of making things, crafting things. That's why I wonder how I could play platformers. Like, how the hell did I do this at 5 or 6? DuckTales? What? And the rage that I feel now to that game. Trying to play as an adult, but no, I can agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Because sheesh, even like the Pokemon games, I probably wouldn't have. I wouldn't be. I like Violet, and I'm sure it would look mind blowing by then. But like, there would have been like 10-year-old me growing up and seeing like how much like if I brought back Violet and Scarlet and saw the evolution of gaming, I'd just be like, why are these other games look better and play better than this game? I think that would have been a mistake. That was the choice there for those types of games. But all right, so just a quick thing. We're at 25 minutes, so that's what I wanted to talk about there. Quinn Snyder is coaching the Hawks. I forgot about that. The Heat game has started already, so that's going on. between the Hawks and the Heat here in Miami. And the other thing, Penguins and
just right now.
What happened?
Oh, never mind. I thought you were going NBA for a second. I'm not ready yet.
No, I'm not ready. I'm just talking about the scores right now because I just want to look at it. The Penguins and the Blackhawks are starting. If the Pens lose, I think the Panthers will actually make the playoffs. So they could clinch, even though the Blackhawks are a tanking team, but they could still win for pride because I'm not sure, but I don't think if they haven't locked the worst record in the league, then they would lose. But if they're not in the running for it no more, then they might as well win. Anyways, and then baseball. So Andrew wanted to talk about some things, and I think they had something to do with sports because apparently this is a sports show.
So my big thing is,
is this an Andrewverse thing? Can I just do that? Do you want me to go there?
Sure.
To your little studio there.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's not as nebulous and crazy as a usual Andrewverse, but whatever. So the first thing I want to mention is there's some, as one person was describing it, there's some smoke coming out about, or renewed smoke coming out about potential conference realignment again in college sports. You could almost say that if the news is correct, that the Big 12 is going to raid Shadow Legends, the Pac-12.
Okay.
But seriously, the news is that Colorado might be moving back to the Big 12. Colorado used to be in the Big 12 for a long time, but then in the kind of the big conference realignment that happened about a decade ago, they moved over to the Pac-12. But the Pac-12 is looking very shaky. Apparently, the only major suitor for a TV deal for them is the CW.
Ooh. So you're competing with like the Flash.
Exactly.
Well, Flash is retiring, so that's why. Or they're ending it, so there you go. That's the reason.
Oh, okay.
Like, we need
and
sports.
Even then, and again, this is all rumors. This is all, none of this has been, said. I mean, the Pac-12 is saying that everything is fine, but their number 2 in command just left the conference for somewhere else. And then this news coming out that the only real suitor is the CW. Things are not looking good over at the Pac-12. And then there's been this, will they, won't they news for the past few months, ever since the UCLA USC decision to move to the Big Ten, that the quote unquote Four Corners schools would be moving to the Big 12. And that would be Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. Because Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico are considered the Four Corner states. But anyway, so the smoke is that Colorado might be moving. If that's the case, that might set off a chain reaction where the other Four Corner schools might decide to move.
I mean, Deion Sanders most likely would be pushing for that so they can get better recruits, right? I would assume.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Texas and Florida, enough said. California, Texas, and Florida are kind of the triple crown of the best college recruits. They're losing California, fine, but if you had to choose the two big ones, it would be Florida and Texas. In Texas alone, that conference has Houston, Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU. I think there's one more in there. I can't remember, but I think there's one more in there somewhere. And then Florida, you've got UCF. And, UCF, even though UCF is not in Miami, which is the real hotbed, or just the Tri-County area, I should say. Orlando is only 4 hours from Miami. Really, unless you're coming from the far panhandle, next to the Alabama border, really, you're no more than 4 hours from Orlando at any point in the state. So if you're a college recruit and you want to see Deion Sanders, it's just a 4-hour jog, or the Keys, the far panhandle or the Keys. Forgot to mention the Keys. You're only really 4 hours from seeing Deion Sanders. So that's, in its own way, kind of a huge benefit because you're in the most centrally located major city in the state. And then Texas. So, you're right. Deion would probably want that. Plus, it's tougher competition. So, it can prove, we can really compete with the big boys because honestly, there's really nothing left in the Pac-12 that's any decent except, depending on the year, Oregon and Washington's pretty solid. But so we'll see. There's a lot of smoke, but there's no indication of fire yet, and there's been a lot of false starts on this. Will they? Won't they? Now they're saying, it'll be in the next week that the Big 12 will vote on it. But God knows. Second, I wanted to discuss UCF. And actually, for once, it's a negative story about UCF. Let me mention that. So there was a report that a former UCF baseball player came out and said that UCF, at least in the beginning of the season, was using altered baseball bats, which would make sense because UCF was hitting all of the home runs at the beginning of the year. When pressed for comment by a reporter named Trace Trilko, the head coach, Greg Lovelady, the man should run for office because the non-answer he gave was absolutely fantastic. He was like, we did the internal investigation, maybe there was something, maybe there wasn't something, we handled this internally. It's like, the man is so fucking guilty. It was an amazing non-answer. And the crazy thing is, this wasn't some kind of secret, gotcha moment where, he hadn't heard the rumor or whatever, or the administration hadn't heard the rumor. They had to know that this was coming. But the administration didn't say anything or prepare something, and Lovelady didn't prepare something. So you had to wonder, was it just hubris by UCF to think that, no one's going to ask that question? This is a potential black mark on the school and the program and the baseball team. But no one's going to ask that question. The media is all on our side.
All right, so I'm playing it now in the background.
Bought off by Their team with 8
So I'll let it play.
Pretty much the last vestige of the glory days of the Stanley Cups for the Blackhawks.
So I'm trying to. Oh, there it is. There it is.
And some things that you just have no control over what other people say, whether they be true or not true. Things that you feel like you need to address internally, then we address them and make sure that those things don't happen, and the things that
make sure those things don't happen.
We don't obviously address them. So unfortunate, but just part of it, part of the process. So just handle our things and then go on and try to handle the next day the best we can.
Have you conducted an internal investigation of this?
We've handled everything we needed to handle internally and done everything that we can.
So what was the alteration that was being what were they doing?
And make sure that whatever.
I haven't heard what the alterations were. I haven't seen what the alterations were.
They're metal bats. I mean, you can't cork them, even though there's been plenty of videos of showing that corking the bats really actually makes them worse. But okay, I mean, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a different metal. Maybe I have no idea. Something inside. Okay, well, all right. I'm not gonna go down this college our college baseball board, but it's posted by USF fans, so there you go. I probably should go down that.
So according to RUF, which is an ESPN station out of, I'm going to go ahead and assume Gainesville, based on their website, which shows the swamp and UF. They're saying it might be something called rolling, a rolled bat, which I've never heard of that before. Let me see if I can look it up. It's an accelerated break-in process for composite bats that brings a bat to peak performance.
Okay.
And it adds 20 to 40 feet to solid hits.
Okay.
So I guess it's almost like the equivalent of how Louisville Slugger with their wood bats, admittedly, they put this intense pressure on the bat, and what it does is it kind of tightens the grain or whatever. It makes it harder. So if that's what they're talking about, that would make sense, because it would tighten up the metal and make it more trampoline-y.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that is what happened, I mean, shame on UCF. I mean, I
just wonder how would they actually do that? Like I don't know what that process would be like. I don't know, some internal thing that they're doing inside to alter the bats like that. I'm not sure. What it's like, some sort of rub that you do on it. I have no idea.
I've never heard of it, so I wouldn't know. But in any case, I mean, if Lovelady knew about this, I think he should be fired. I wasn't I wasn't really a big UCF fan at the time, but UCF did impermissible benefits back in like the early 2010s. They had like an agent or whatever and shit. So, I'm hoping UCF didn't do this, but if you listen to Greg Lovelady, he looks so guilty.
Oh wait, have they found him?
What makes it worse, I think. What's that?
Have they found him actually doing something, or is Andrew assuming?
I mean, I'm assuming, and
where's your loyalty to your team, man? Aren't you Mr. Justice for All? And all that stuff, and since I'm proven guilty, you gotta support the love lady over here. I'm just saying. Listen, you're talking. look at where I come from, where I'm like, I know Roger Clemens was juicing, but too many times on this show, what have I said, boys? I'm like, didn't find anything on him. Ooh. Don't come to you.
I mean, listen, in my
ring ball there for baseball, they don't want.
I mean, in my professional life, of course, I make no judgments. You know, as a journalist, you always say someone allegedly committed a crime, or you always assume as a lawyer your client didn't do it. That's the only way you can really survive in the business.
Oh no! Trust me, we know what they be doing. We just say, but is it fair what's happened to him in the criminal world? Francisco can speak to it on his criminal world.
But here in my private life, I mean, if the dude had given even some semblance of a prepared answer, or even took the time to make it seem like it was false or whatever, fine. But his serious lack of an answer, I mean, unless he's a sociopath, unless someone is a sociopath, no one is that good of a liar off the cuff.
I got to defend my lady here. I feel like, and I know nothing going on, but I've seen many college coaches that literally give the same non-answer to recruit violations. Bama did it too with homeboy who was alleged shooting people up. And
I think it's a PR thing more than anything else.
Yeah, it's not an individualistic thing. Maybe it's closer to home for you, but take off the rose-colored glasses. It's something that you see all the time, and not just in college football, everywhere. In professional sports.
Well, see, here's the thing: if it was a PR thing,
Andrew,
there are zillion ways that you could.
Are they supposed to say, "Yeah, I did it"?
I'm not saying that I'm not at all saying that he has to say that they did it. I mean, that would be stupid. And no one would expect that. But at least come prepared with some answer other than internal investigation. We may have done it, we may have not have done it. Take the time to prepare some sort of an answer instead of being blindsided.
But I think that's the answer, though, because if you're going to an arbitrator or individual investigator, you can't really comment further than that without compromising anything.
Well, then just say, I can't comment at this time.
But that's the reason why you give a blanket statement. You don't have to say, I can't comment.
So you're in a sense, like they're damned if they do, if they're damned if they don't at this point.
Well, that's today. That's 21st century media right there.
I know, but that's kind of like what's being said, I think. I'm just thinking of it from a PR standpoint. Like, I know public relations person is going to be like, yeah, go up there and we're not letting you, like, just keep it to this script that we gave you, internal investigations, and that's it. You don't say nothing more after that. That's somebody was in his ear before this.
Because you of course, who's there? The AD for UCF. This is not your guy, Lovelady. I almost said Lovelady, singing hi, Lovelace. Does not have autonomy to speak on behalf of the program. There's a full investigation. He's just a coach at the end of the day, right? I can't speak for the entire organization I work for. It has to be the CEO. Francisco can't speak for his boss. Going from there, I'm gonna say some insider stuff. It's just because maybe it's closer to home for you, Andrew, that you want more, you demand more, because what matters to you is the spirit and the letter and the integrity. But in reality, man, you see this stuff all the time. Everything, every speak, every organization. Side note, I got my ass handed to me in online playing fighters, and I just beat a guy now. So I'm like, this is good. Give me all that contradictoriness. Okay. But yeah, dude, you have to really go into you have to know your boundaries, because either A, you're implicating yourself by saying something, because remember, there's a difference between spokesperson for the university versus your own private attorney and counsel and agent. And then two, like, man, media, I'm sorry, I know both of you guys have media credentials. Media, crocodiles in the lake, man, or in the swamp, they're gonna feast. At the end of the day, they can sense that weakness. That's why you've seen some guys, Why do you think all these coaches act very vanilla in that sense? Because every time there's been something wild, they've been made a bad example of for a lot of coaches in the past, right? Where they just kind of dig themselves deeper and deeper and deeper. Mud. I think Lovelady kind of said the perfunctory statement, and it's perfunctory, but it's the same thing if you were a defense counsel, your client just got arrested, my client has to be arrested on his charges, we believe in fair process, if it's a proven given, we will see that justice prevails. Poof! Guy has a murder-suicide charge, but hey, or not murder-suicide, but murder charge going on, but you still have to go through the particulars. He's going through the motions. Maybe my example is a little bit extreme. I'm still a lawyer sometimes, so the brain was in there earlier today. Back to back in a row, I win. Sorry, I got excited. I can usually win fighting games online.
Well, I mean that
Your
I've
thoughts,
already kind of given
Francisco.
I've already said it already. I think I'm not faulting this coach he's a baseball coach at the end of the day. So it's not like he's well versed. He's a college baseball coach. It's not like he's well versed. He's not going to be. He doesn't have as much experience with the media and things like that as your boy Gus out there for the football team. So yeah, it's say. I think he handled it as best as he could. What else is going to say? Like he can't say nothing more. If there's an internal investigation, you don't want to compromise that at all. And just let it go from there. If he didn't know about it, then okay, then he didn't know about it. All right, we'll see what happens. Maybe some equipment hand on the side was doing this for the players and things like that, like under the coach's nose. Things like that happen. Heck, the Angels had that guy that was like just dealing drugs and all that stuff. That's one of their players dying. So that's stuff like that can happen under your nose.
People cheating and they set the process.
But stuff like that can happen under people's noses and they don't know. So I think do the internal investigation. Maybe he had nothing to do with it. Maybe he had no idea this was going on. Nobody knew except for some players that are trying to get an edge. Baseball is competitive, man, and sometimes people do what they need to do in order to get ahead. Like David Ortiz took some steroids, now he's a Hall of Famer. Look what happens, right? Fernando Tatis Jr. Ate a few poppy seeds. I don't know. That's his excuse, right? And so, so that's
he said he had a ringworm.
Yeah, there we go. That's what ringworm. So that stuff like that happens, right? Barry Bonds said eating a well-balanced breakfast. Like some players do what they need to do to get ahead, and same thing with like equipment and stuff. Guys cork their bats. Apparently, rolling bats is a thing that I just found out thanks to this, and that could be it. So baseball is uber competitive, and players will undermine the system, will undermine their own organizations or schools in order to get ahead. So this coach might not have anything to say. He might have known that such a thing could exist, but just that it wasn't going down where he was. So that's all I could say. That's me. Alrighty.
Well, if that's the case, then this
just happened, right? This is like a few days ago.
If that's the case, then that's on the administration for not taking the time to say, okay, you're probably going to get this question. Any good lawyer coaches a witness on what to expect question-wise. But it seems like the administration didn't do that with Lovelady. If that's the case, then that's definitely on them.
I think you just want a better answer than what you were given, and I think he gave a satisfactory answer. I think even if they did do administration, it's from there, and I think that maybe it's just close to home because you can't necessarily.
I mean, this is a former player, right? This is a former player that's accusing or that's saying that this happened, right?
Correct.
So former player. I mean, how good has USCF been in baseball? Like, what has been there? Like, are they? They don't make the tournament, right?
No.
Okay, so
we're definitely a below average program. That's for damn sure.
Okay, alrighty. You sound like you're a mile away, by the way.
We need all the help we can get.
Yeah, you're far.
unless you went to get something. But anyways,
taking off pub.
So I guess that's kind of the end of what I wanted to discuss. But, that took up some amount of time. We can move on to something else.
we're at the 50-minute mark. Let's see. I'm just going to go through another score update. So Heat are down 9 right now after the first quarter against the Hawks. So that's what's going down. I haven't looked at the stats or anything like that, but I'm watching it on the side and getting a bit concerned here. But the Heat, I mean, they have 2 chances, right? If they lose this one, then they got to face the winner of the 9-10 game, right?
9-10.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So there you go. The Marlins are actually winning. It's 2-0. Dear Lord.
No, the NBA
the Rays are spanking the Red Sox. 5-0 right now.
Yankees are winning 10-2.
Oh yeah, because you guys lost yesterday, right? So there you go. So that's the baseball stuff. Okay, so let's just do a word from non-sponsors. We're at the 50-minute mark. Let's start early, right? People and places and things and concepts and what have you that we've been enjoying over the last week. All right, so who wants to start this week? Let's go.
I will start.
I started last week, so I'll let one of y'all do it.
Go ahead, Charles.
I am 33 years old, and when you get as old as I am, not many things are a constant. Thankfully, I've been blessed to have my hair still be a constant. I have some friends of that age who don't. Sorry, guys. Natural hair products, it helps you. Good shampoo, good conditioner. What can I say? Animals don't stay with you. Family and friends kind of do, but then sometimes they suck. You want them to stay away, but we love them all the same. But, you don't get to keep your favorite shirt. You don't keep mementos. But there's one constant that I've had for 33 years, and that's a little Italian plumber based off of New York. And I remember playing Mario on my NES, and I remember playing him on Super NES, and I remember playing him on my GameCube. I played a couple good Mario games on GameCube. GameCube was kind of like a hit or miss console for me, sorry. I remember playing him on my Wii, and I remember playing him on my Wii U, and I remember playing on my Switch. We talked about Mario Odyssey, Smash Brothers, all those fun things. Mario has been a integral part of my life and foundation. When I hear "It's a me, a Mario," I'm like, yeah, and his brother Luigi, wow, all that stuff, and then Princess Peach, and then Bowser. They have been constants. And I saw the Mario movie, and I remember we were all talking about the Chris Prattness. Remember, we're like, and I kept some of the memes, the heartbreak meme, and what do I send it to you guys? We're in agreement. I said the Mario and Luigi meme, and I was like, oh man, I remember I saw that last trailer. I'm like, this is for me, isn't it? So I saw it over the weekend. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was directed by or produced by Illumination, the people who did like Minions and Despicable Me. And I only saw one Despicable Me movie. I didn't see anything else, but I thought it was cute, whatever. And watching the trailers, I was like, okay, you got Charlie Day here, you got Chris Pratt doing this guy. And I remember being like, Jack Black as Bowser wasn't intriguing me. And Joey Taylor was Peach. Keegan Michael Key, he is Toad. It is a 90-minute start to finish tug on my heartstrings for anybody who was introduced that little Italian plumber from essentially the old Jumpman or Donkey Kong, right, back in the days, to your Marios, and it hit all those points. There's callbacks to old NES games and Super NES games. They're not even just of their franchise, but other franchises. They have. Why is there big sounds going on? It's windy up here, and I got a roof that's probably gonna fly off. That'll be happening. Maybe it's Mario about to come down and beat the hell out of me for not giving the proper credence to his history. Who knows? But there's callbacks to Mario Kart, the Rainbow Road scene. You guys have seen the trailers. I will say that the trailer does not actually spoil big bits of information, but at the end of the day, it's about 2 brothers who get sucked into the Mushroom Kingdom. Bowser's trying to get with Peach. You know the story. I won't spoil the details because I know Francisco's very interested. I was enjoying it from start to finish. I think I texted you guys during the movie like, this is for me. I laughed. I had moments. They have some of the music from the games in there. I had a smile ear to ear. I like Jack Black as Bowser. I didn't hate it. I can't spoil to you, Francisco, if you don't know about certain things with Bowser, but I was very good with it. Chris Pratt's voice as Mario doesn't annoy me, and you'll kind of see why. Charlie Day sounds like Charlie Day. I think my only complaints that I have that I'll say on the show, and once Francisco watches the movie, then him and I can inquire further on it, is that the movie ends. But if this is going to be the start of a Nintendo verse, I don't need to be like Marvel or produce everything. I really don't also want Illumination to do all those movies. I can't imagine them doing a good art style for Zelda or for Star Fox. Not that I'm ever going guess Star Fox, if anything. But I was very satisfied with the Mario movies. I think Donkey Kong, Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong, that made me very happy because I always joke with DK because one, he wears a tie, he's got good hair, and he's built. I like to think I'm 2 of the 3 of those. I'll leave you guys decide what the 2 credentials are. I can't go in further detail, but it's enjoyable. Take your kids, take your family, go see it by yourself. Why is everything falling in my house? It's like Bowser's about to come in. It is cute. It is adorable. It is fun. Critics don't like it. I don't care. There's just some movies that critics aren't going to like. It's not going to be pure cinema in a sense, but it's going to be enjoyable and entertaining. And it's not dumb fun. It's just fun. So Super Mario Bros. Movie, go see it. You'll enjoy it. See yourself. I might, see it with mom, see what happens there. I might see it again. It's coming to digital, I think, next month. So the cinema is dead when we have these short frames, but it does kind of deserve that quality of seeing it in theater. Go see it in the XD. I don't think they're doing IMAX. Just go see the movie. $5 Tuesdays or full price. Promo code PEACHES. And I can't go further into detail until you see it and you'll know why.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I'm watching it this Saturday. That's when me and my sister are gonna take those kids on over. It'll be their first movie theater experience. So that's exciting. They haven't been to a movie theater. Pandemic happened, so everything they've just been watching is on TV and through their iPads and so yeah. I'm like, they're it'll be an interesting experience for them, for sure. But
it's for you though, and for your sister.
Really, I just needed hey, let's just go see Mario, please. I want somebody to go. I mean, I would have seen it by myself anyways. But
it's perfect for me because remember I was playing Mario Rabbids right into the segue. I mean, I got my 2 amiibos or 3 is 2 of them are Mario and Luigi, and then I got a Splatoon one, and I'm sure I have other nonsense of Mario things. It's with you and it's a constant, and you love it. You just love it. You feel good. I don't know anybody who has seen it that hated it because it's for you. It cares.
All right. Okay. Well,
I'll go next.
All right, Andrew, go ahead.
So this is a game that I've played for a few years. A new version comes out every year.
RuneScape.
It's called Tap Sports Baseball.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a fine game. I mean, it's never going to win any award.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, they bought the rights to it.
Oh, okay.
So
they might be dipping their toes back into the baseball stuff, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, this is the first year that EA has been involved with it. It was made by an independent company prior to this. But anyway, it's a fine way to pass the time. I mean, it's like I said, it's not going to win any awards. It's not the most accurate game. I mean, Marlins Park in the game still has the green fences and the home run sculpture. So, I mean, this game hasn't been updated in 5 years at least, Lord. In some regards.
And they just update the rosters.
Well, they upgrade the rosters every year.
Okay,
but I mean, the fact that they didn't take the time, it's not like it's a minor change to Marlins Park. They kept the same model they've been using. When was the home run sculpture removed? 2017?
2019.
Was it really 2019 that they removed it?
Because Jeter came in. There was that 1 year, the transition period, and they changed the logo and all that stuff, and that's when they removed everything. So yeah, 2019.
Well, okay, so
are you questioning Marlins historian?
4 years. It's not like they just if the 2019 version of the game didn't have the change, fine. It takes a while to change it, but it's been 4 fucking years. But anyway, enough dunking on the game. It's like I said, it's a fine way to kill some time, and it's fun for baseball fans. It's easy to play. There's only one thing you do, and that's hit. And you just tap the screen whenever the ball is in your swing plane. So it's really a mindless game. You don't have to do much. So I don't know. I mean, if you're on the bus or just looking for a way to kill some time, it's a fun game. It's obviously filled with it's free to play, so that means it's obviously filled with loot boxes and all that shit.
Yeah.
Right. But they do give away a lot of stuff. They give gifts like every day, which is kind of cool in its own right. So you don't need to pay to play.
Much like
and still do Raid Shadow Legends.
You know, Andrew, you are right. It's much like Raid Shadow Legends. You know, it's 600 champions. It's free to play as well. You can download it to your iOS and your Android devices. You put in our promo. Yeah, you can put it on your PC. Just, get our promo code. You get some goodies there. Hit the link, raidshadowlegends.com/sportsgoofs. Maybe, I don't know. That might be the link. You just click on it. It'll take you somewhere. And maybe you'll get Raid Shadow Legends.
So that is my non-sponsor, Tap Sports Baseball, promo code TSB.
Nice. I played it briefly on my phone during the pandemic, and I didn't have MLB The Show hadn't been on all these systems by then. And yeah, it's pretty good. There's a few baseball games like that. There's Tap Sports Baseball. There's MLB 9 Innings, which is also pretty good, and has an updated model of the stadium, Andrew. So that one's more in depth. You can pitch in that one. You hit all that stuff. You can manage your team. It kind of works.
We played that once during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, we played it against each other because we were looking to play something. So yeah, cool beans. All right, so I guess I will go last. So my non-sponsor is just Marlins fans. This is more of an appreciation thing. So guys, if you I retweet this show on my Marlins Twitter account. I have so far like 2,700 followers over the last 3 years now. Since I started it during the pandemic because I was just trying to find something to do, and since then it's been pretty fun. It's been a fun thing to do on the side, and I've gotten a little closer to Marlins fans, Marlins former players, and people who work with the Marlins, and people around the baseball spectrum. And it's been really fun. So recently, and once again, this all seems like I'm trying to promote something, but maybe I am a little bit. I posted a new t-shirt design that I made of the Marlins of Pro Player Stadium back in 2003. It's just the seating map from the stadium way back when, and it seems like something simple, something not too intricate, but it took me some time just to do it and put it together. But I posted it, just hey, if anybody wants to buy this, it's up for sale now. I edited it. It took me a couple days just to finish it and try and make it as accurate to the seating map charts that they had as possible. And a bunch of people liked it, and a bunch of people have bought it. It's the best selling thing on the merch store right now. And so I'm just
How many sales?
I haven't checked, but it's at least 15 shirts thus far, which is saying something for us, right? So 15 shirts. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad people like it. I'm hoping someday I'll walk around the ballpark and I'll see somebody wearing a shirt, and I'll be like, oh my God, there it is. That'd be really humbling and really sweet for me just to see. But just Marlins fans in general, because we suffer through a lot. there are dozens of us, and you know, it's not easy. It's not easy being a Marlins fan, and you know, I know we've had Jeremy on talking about it as well, and you know, Andrew's a Rays fan. As much as the Rays have their own issues with like not having a new ballpark and things like that, you guys at least have a good baseball team. That's true. I would so trade every single one of our players for every single one of your players right now. So just the combination of the two teams, just like that. Okay, we have the ballpark and we'll get the players, and that's how it is. You know, for Sandy. Yeah, except for Sandy. Sandy stays. Jesus Luzardo stays, and Luis Arias stays, and Jazz Chisholm. They stay. Everybody else can go. And then but yeah, it's been cool. Marlins fans, thank you. You're my non-sponsors, even though you guys are actually paying me. So in a way, you're sponsors in this sort of roundabout way. But promo code PAIN. Oh man! Apparently, Jeffrey Loria wrote a book, and Jeffrey Loria wrote a book, and I think Eli Sussman, who runs Fish Stripes, good guy. He was reading the book. It's like 400 pages long, and Jeffrey Loria, this is how much of an ego this man has, equates the Marlins home run sculpture to Egyptian art. And that Derek Jeter desecrated the art world by dismantling it and putting it outside where it has to be in the elements and will rot and be destroyed. And so I find it fitting now that it's outside and doing exactly what Loria did to the baseball team for so many years and to the fan base. So, you know, Jeffrey Loria, go fuck yourself. That shit's staying outside where it belongs. And it's one of the few things Derek Jeter actually did a good thing about while he was here in Miami. There we go.
You know, if I'm being honest, I mean, he's got a point about it rotting in the elements, although that's easily fixed. You just hire somebody to, you know, rust remediation and upkeep. But in some ways, I think it's better for the art world because now more people can see it and they don't have to pay.
Yeah, but no one goes to those games, so what can they see? Oof! Sorry. I had to do it.
Oh boy! All right, guys.
Although I will say this. Because the speed of games is coming down so much, I think more people are going to start going just because they don't have to spend God knows how many hours.
The team needs to win.
Even the
Someone's going to go see the 3-13 Florida Marlins or Miami Marlins.
We won. Well, we've won 4 games, Charles. We've won 4 games.
Well, like for instance,
4-13.
4-7.
I don't know how much of this. Like for the Rays, for example, their attendance is going up. I mean, admittedly, part of that is due to the win streak. And then a large part of that is due to the fact that they, at least for the Oakland Athletics series, opened up a lot of seats for only $10. In the lower level, well, that's the only level that's open. They've closed up the top level. So something that the Marlins and the Rays do have in common.
Yeah.
But in any case, you know, if I can be home, if I know, like, all right, game's going to be like 2.5 hours, you know, I'm going to be more willing to go to a game at 7:00 at night.
Yeah, I mean, so far I've told you about my experience. The game I went to was 2 hours and 9 minutes. That was insane,
right?
And I didn't feel like
the Rays game yesterday against the Red Sox was 2 hours 6 minutes.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like I got shortchanged. Yeah, you know, the boomers and people were like, "Oh, it means the games are shorter." The games are still 9 innings long. It's not that they're shorter; they're just going faster. That's it. They're going faster. Anybody try watching a tennis match in real life? That shit takes forever, man. That is a long ass match. I got things to do. Mario Tennis did not prepare me for that. So I mean, it's true. I went to actually see actual tennis at the Miami Open, and I'm just like, this is still going on. That's yeah. You get going, get people moving. We got shit to do. All right. And the Brewers are selling their beers and stuff now up to the 8th inning now, and because apparently the games are going faster. The games are going faster, so they want more sales for that. Because at the 7th inning, and it ends right there. But they didn't think of the other side as to why it ends at the 7th inning, is so that people can sober up for their drive home. So,
right.
Milwaukee Brewers, everybody. It seems like something Milwaukee would do. Alrighty. Anyways.
It defeats the whole purpose of the cutoff.
Yeah, well, yeah. Then somebody's like, well, in Japan, they sell beer throughout the games and even after the games. I'm like, yeah, that's Japan. You can walk home and stumble home, and that's kind of the thing. Nobody's watched anime. That's kind of the thing. Play Yakuza. That's the culture, and it's a walkable city. You're not really getting into a car. That's the difference there. That's why. And
even if they did drive, or if they knew they were going to drink, they're going to get a ride there, and they're going to get a ride home. Their country, their culture is a lot more responsible than American culture, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all the time, like the baseball players, they clean up their locker rooms after games, and they leave thank you notes. Yeah. Fans at the World Baseball Classic, or not even the World Baseball Classic.
I saw it at the World Baseball Classic when the game ended. There was actually, he was a Puerto Rican wearing a USA jersey, and as soon as they lost, he kind of just tossed his beer on the ground and just walked away and was like,
right.
That's what I'm shooting strays at Puerto Ricans right now, but I think Charles wouldn't mind.
Well, I'm going to give another example.
We're Latinos. We can make fun of other Latinos. That's fine.
I'm going to give another example. Let's say one thing, you want to keep your own country, your own baseball park clean. And that's something you have a responsibility for. But during the 2018, 2022, whatever World Cups, which were in Russia and Qatar, Japanese fans always cleaned up after themselves.
Yeah.
They are just a much more responsible culture than
non-sponsor to the country of Japan. Glorious Nippon. Right? I think we all can agree with that.
Plus, they make good anime.
Yeah, well, they make
so you gotta appreciate them for that.
I mean, listen, remember World Baseball Classic?
Dude.
I mean, granted, I do love
the
cultural irresponsibility of the drinking at games. Anime is where it's at, guys.
I've been on an anime, like just a slice of life binge lately, guys. I am running through these games. What happened?
Let's take an anime detour.
All right. Yeah, I've been watching anime. That might have been... It's actually saving me from my video game lull, because I kind of been replacing it with anime. So, and I haven't really been watching a lot of anime lately, so I'm glad I've been going through. I already talked about Don't Mess With Me, Miss Nagatoro, and I just watched Tomo-chan is a Girl, which is about this tomboy. She's very butch, but she likes a guy, and like he's like a childhood friend of hers for like the longest time, and so she finally admits that she loves him. And he's like, "Oh, I love you too," but he thought of it in a friendly sort of way, like platonic best friends that they've known each other since childhood. And she's just like trying to become more girly because she's like the daughter of like a karate master who like has his own dojo. So she's trying to be more feminine throughout the show, and so that's what I watched for that. And then I just watched another one. It was about the one I sent you guys, which is like this. I forgot the name of the show, but it's like this dude, and he plays like an MMORPG, and he like in MMORPGs, you can get married in those games with people and get stats and stuff like that. So he proposed to somebody one day, and it happened to be like he's a guy in high school, and it happened to be like a 30-year-old man. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just play as a cat girl. I'm an actual 30-year-old man," and he broke his heart, and he's like, "I'm never proposing to anybody ever again." And then he gets with a guild, and there's a girl in the guild, and he proposed, like, she's like, she wants to marry him. And he's like, "Fine, I'll marry you." But he's just doing it because it's the game. He doesn't believe. There's no women online. That's basically what his MO is. And they're like, "Oh, maybe we should meet up one day, as a like IRL, like meet up with each other." So it's like his guild. And so he's like, "Okay, fine, we'll hang out." So he goes and finds out that the 3 people that were in his guild were actually women. And the anime starts. There you go. And they all happen to go to the same high school, because convenience and all that stuff. It's anime. It's, that's the wild stuff. So I blasted through those lately, and that's where I'm at with my animus. I need more slice of life stuff.
Well, you can join what I'm doing and catching up with My Hero Academia.
But he doesn't like the Shonen kind of protagonist stuff, though.
Kind of been
the what kind of protagonist?
Ooh, well, Charles.
Shonen
here we go.
Jump. Yeah. Well, so all right. So we call it the typical Shonen Jump kind of thing, but
yeah, that's just the company that kind of popularized it.
Inuyasha,
okay.
Naruto, DBZ. You know how there's always a good guy. And
One Piece.
Guy, and there's a good guy's friends who are never.
But what was the
million
word
episodes?
Shonen.
Shonen.
Yeah.
Shonen.
Shonen. I can't speak. You guys know this. Come on. Shonen Jump at this point. So it's just a style.
Got it. Okay.
It's a progress, and it's a typical story. It's the same thing. Yeah. Person who is unknown to be good or unexceptional becomes exceptional. How do they become exceptional? Because there's certain things that happen. Do they have friends? Yeah. Are the friends unexceptional too? Shoot, yes. Do they tend to be cooler than the main character? Absolutely. Is there a villain? Yeah. What kind of villain is there? Is it a good villain? Is it a villain that's in the hiding? Is it a villain that's up in the frames of things? Are they going to the front? What are the challenges? What are the arcs? Is there like filler episodes out of the yin yang? Absolutely. At some point, does everything coalesce together? Yeah. How's it go through? Pretty softly. Does anybody die? Not so much. Does anybody die? Yeah, maybe the mentor. Is there anything that devastating happens to the main character? Yeah, but do they get that power back? Sure. Do they find a new Deus Ex Machina? Absolutely. That's why I call it the show.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, that's the template. That is it.
Shonen, whatever you want to call it, has like no real structural consequences, and it is your Naruto's.
Yeah, even like Dragon Ball Z. Oh, they died. Just wish them back. Grab them balls.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the typical feel-good story. You know what it is? It's your typical King Arthur hero stuff. It's your Star Wars. It's your Luke Sky, not Disney Star Wars, because that's trash. But it's a lot of those things. So that's my kind of anime that I enjoy. Why? Because I like good people succeeding, and then I like compelling stuff that comes in. Do I like a little mature themes come into? Yeah, I watch Full Metal. I watch Cowboy Bebop. Those are not.
And I imagine it's.
But would you consider?
I imagine it's a genre that
yeah.
And 2 or 1 run home run for the Rays. Josh Lowe goes to right center field. That's 6-1 Rays. Meanwhile, over on the mainland of Florida, a few miles away, Tampa is tied with Toronto in the second period of hockey game.
The preview of your first round.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I don't put much faith into the result of this game. I don't think this is going to be indicative of how the series is going to go, if I'm being completely honest. I'm sure some people are going to be like, "Oh, we're going to win because we won this game," or "Oh, Toronto's going to win because they won this game." But I don't think so.
And don't look.
But anyway, so I imagine.
Don't look right now.
But
I'm going to have comments.
Charles, I imagine. So Charles, I imagine this genre is more kind of like a, makes, well, like you said, feel good, or it's uplifting, positive, things like that.
Francisco stuff might be, but it's a typical thing of chosen hero finds a way to save the day. That's really what it is, with the most minimal amount of adversity. Because to me, there is minimal amount of adversity.
Yeah, whatever challenges are there, then it'll like in the end they'll find a way. Or they'll once again, Deus Ex Machina. Yeah. Oh, there happens to be another power level that's over 9,000.
The running joke I like to make is Goku decided to remain dead and not be a father in order for the story to progress differently because there's always a way out. Dragon Balls, the original, to nerd it out for a second, to be a nerd, the original concept was on Earth Dragon Balls, you die once, you can't get wished back, death is final, if it's more than a year, you can't come back, all these things. Well, how do we do with multi-res? Namekian Dragon Balls. You get 2 wishes now instead of 1 wish. There's always just something, because at the end of the day, human beings, even the most cynical, nihilistic person, loves the concept of the good guys prevail, right? Plenty. They don't like the sad boy endings. Sometimes you get
my stuff, Andrew, is the slices of life stuff. I mean, in a way, like a lot of them turn into harem animes, which is, it's typically the main character.
It's a little weird.
The main protagonist is a dude. He's in high school, most likely. There's very few that they're like adults. Or like in college or things like that, but a few of them do that, and he just happens to be in the circumstance where he's surrounded by these beautiful girls, and he's kind of a weirdo in a sense, or just happens to be like the guy, even though he's not the popular guy in the school, and like everything kind of works out in the end. But some of them are just like centric around like just certain characters. Some of them are like all girls, and they're just like hanging out and just they're like a band or something, and they just travel and do band stuff. So that's cool. They're just like in a club for that. And then you get some weirder stuff like Haruhi Suzumiya, like that the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, where it's kind of like more like supernatural and pretty interesting. I think that's, if you had to watch one, that would be one I would recommend for that. Just because it's a bit out there for sure, but some of them are just like, oh, this is a nice little thing, and things kind of sort of work out in the end, except for certain other, like, oh man, like there's one called like was it Clannad, and that shit gets depressing at the end. Anyways, that's the stuff that I watch, and but occasionally I'll dip into the other stuff. So I'll watch like One Punch Man or Mob Psycho 100 is pretty good. Also, I like that one. I haven't caught up on it, but I'll get to it eventually. And then there's like the joke stuff with like The Way of the House Husband, which is yeah. Anyways, we're at 1 hour and 23 minutes. So let's see. So I guess hockey scenarios for everybody. So the Penguins are 0-0 against the Blackhawks. The Penguins win. They will keep their playoff hopes alive. If they lose, the Panthers clinch. And tomorrow's game against the Hurricanes won't matter too much because the Panthers hold the tiebreaker over the Islanders, who can tie the Panthers. The Canes, I think, were winning against the Blackhawks. If the Canes win, and there's some scenarios where if the Canes win and the Devils lose or something like that, the Canes will win the division, so they'll have nothing to play for. There's like a ton of spots available for hockey right now. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty fun. I don't want to go too much in depth into it, but that's the scenario for my teams right now. And the Boston Bruins set the single season record for victories in a season. And so
if they get one more win and they have, was it 2 more games? Yeah, so they're playing in one right now. So then they obviously have one more after that. So if they get a win in one of their next 2 games, they're also going to set the points record.
Yeah.
Which is currently at 132, set by, I want to say, Montreal back in the 50s or something. It's definitely Montreal.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check, but just for my own test of memory, I'm going to say 51-52, just because I'm crazy like that and I want to see if I'm right. But either way, the record is 132 points. They're currently sitting at 131 is Boston. So if they win tonight or whenever their next game is, they will set a record. So they will officially, by pretty much every metric, be the best regular season team in NHL history. But the thing is, if they lose in any round, if they don't win the cup, it's an unsuccessful season in my mind. Kind of like the 18-1 Patriots.
Well, every team that's had the best record in the regular season in all the baseball, basketball, and hockey and football hasn't won their respective championships. So the Warriors, the Patriots, the Mariners, and I forgot the NHL. Was it the Lightning? Was it Lightning or so?
The Lightning were tied for 62 wins.
Yeah, them and the Red Wings, right?
That was the fateful sweep in the first round. But
the Jackets.
Honestly, in hindsight, that ended up being the best thing for us because then we went on to win 2 Stanley Cups in a row. So
I have a question.
But I was wrong, unfortunately. It was the 1976-1977 Canadiens with 132 points.
I have a question.
So I was off by about 20 years. Yes.
Is the Bruins, because I know they're a bigger market in hockey, we have the Brad Marchands, right? Is them breaking all these records and them actually winning, given the circumstances of how hockey is more accessible to be watched, is it good for hockey business and the hockey fandom if they were to succeed?
I mean, like people hate Boston teams. People hate Boston teams, as we all know. So there's that. There's plenty of fans that don't want the Bruins to win. So you've got a good villain for sure with the Boston Bruins. Because, gosh, man, they're not really a feel-good type of team. It's a Boston team. They're pretty arrogant as fans in all sports. So you got fans in Canada,
but just for the sport and the viewership, because remember, what is I think the industry always want is more casual viewers to get on the continuation of things.
I mean, I think this would have been much more impressive for them had it been like for the NHL or the NHL would have rather, let's say, the New York Rangers be the team doing this rather than Boston. That's really the sweet spot for them. Like the New York Rangers, heck, they might have even wanted the Los Angeles Kings to be doing that just for that market out there. But Boston's good. It's fine. You know, but I think they would have rather like the New York Rangers doing that, or maybe like one of their like Golden Boy teams, like Pittsburgh with Crosby and Penguins, like because they can market him as a player. Even though Boston's got, of course, fantastic players, but Crosby is more marketable. People
also.
For Canada, sure, but like I'm talking about like Charles talking about hockey as a whole, so that would be the American markets, like
because. Part of my thought process is remember, okay, I got to do this, and I have to call people fanboys for a second. Sorry. Whenever it was Bama going the 13-0, people who were casuals coming into it and helps with the viewership of the sport. The Warriors,
Lakers, the Yankees.
With the Patriots, the Patriots is the worst because it created two issues. It was those who loved the Dolphins and 72, wherever it was, and didn't want to see the Patriots win it all, and also Tom and Bill not winning one, and then also everybody else who gravitated towards them. And for hockey, I haven't just seen that, even with being part of this podcast for almost 5 years, where you'd have a fervor. If anything, it was the Lightning that would have created that fervor if they went back to back to back and won it all back to back to back, I think. But I think people like the idea of broken records for success and then winning it all, because you look at, not to get transition to a different sport, but like the Super Bowl, who just won? The Chiefs, and then God knows who they just played because my brain doesn't want to work the way it used to work anymore.
San Fran.
But they were both 1 seeds. Philadelphia. No, they played Philadelphia.
Oh, Philly. That's right.
I'm talking about the current.
I was thinking about the other one.
Yeah, they're both 1 seed. Mm-hmm. So I think people want it, but we're never surprised when we see 1 seeds get there, right? The same way of how it was the Warriors when they were that good and Cavaliers were that good. But now with hockey, because I know the Lightning were supposed to be where they would be because they were the best of the best for a while, except the Panthers were the 1 seed last year and that got bounced out. I don't remember who won last year. Carolina, right?
Colorado.
Or am I right? Someone help me. Colorado, thank you, Avalanche. I'm getting switched up. But if you have something that's breaking all these records and a star player, it's not Brett Marchand. I think it just creates more accessibility. And I just think that for hockey itself, the accessibility of the new TV deals has helped out. So maybe it's a perfect storm. You know what else would be a perfect storm for hockey fans? If they were able to get NHL 23. But someone said no, because I love how Andrew was like, you can just play any of the NHLs. I can't. You see, I told you I was going to bring it by any way I can every episode.
Charles.
It's sees fit. It's over.
Charles,
it's
for the love of God.
It's moved.
By the damn
Season's
game.
almost over. I can't wear my Boston Bruins hat
my
at the beginning of the
goodness.
games. I'm sorry. You're going to...
Charles,
I found a way.
for the love of Charles, for the love of God, please drop this fucking subject and get the fucking game.
I like the meme
You sold
of
me
this.
so badly.
We're going all in September on NHL 24, especially if Matty Tkachuk's on the
Really,
cover.
that's what's happening. I mean, that's essentially what's happening. When I saw Francisco at the when we saw hockey, I'm like, oh man, it'd be great to know these people's names if someone let me.
We're going all in on NHL on NHL 24 when that comes out. That's what's happening. I got the Xbox One. It's going down. What were we? Oh, what were we talking about? Oh, hockey. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. I mean, gosh, I just. Yeah, I guess you could. For the NHL, yeah, it'd be cool to see a juggernaut like this. I mean, the Bruins aren't. It's not like the Bruins have been slack. It's not like they came out of nowhere. They've been a good team. They haven't had to do a full on rebuild in a long time. Actually, they've kind of rebuilt on the fly.
Last Stanley Cup.
2011. That was the last time they won. They made it in 2019. They lost. So that was. For them, there's a few guys still on the team from that era, but for the most part, the Bruins have kind of found ways to transition and drop some guys, get some new pieces, and lo and behold, look what they've been doing. I mean, this really wasn't expected of any team, especially the Bruins. So it's more of a surprise that they've been this big, gigantic juggernaut. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the playoffs because they haven't had to play any meaningful games in a long time. But anyways, so that's an hour 32. So I guess we can move on to basketball.
Oh, wait, can I cover a couple more hockey related topics really quick?
Yeah. Is that McDavid's the goals?
First off, Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm. Hart Trophy
Historic
immediately.
Season.
Unanimous.
Historic season. He 150 points.
150 points. I'm almost following up with everything. I'm proud.
He's the first player to top 150 points since I don't know if it's a Mario or Mario. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
I think he's Mario Lemieux.
Mario.
I think it's because it's French. In that sense, I guess he's Mario Lemieux.
So Mario Lemieux in the mid '90s is the first time someone's topped 150 points, and dude's going to win all of the trophies. He's obviously the top goal scorers. That's the Richard Trophy. He's going to get the Hart Trophy.
Yep.
I can't think of any other major trophies for forwards, but if there are any, he's going to get them.
Yeah.
Who knows? May even get the.
I mean, this is the best Oilers team they've had.
Bing.
This is the best team the Oilers have had. Like, they've also got massive expectations, and like I think Andrew was saying, like, oh, if this had been the Oilers, they would have really liked it. And yeah, I guess you could say, but the fact that they're in Edmonton kind of hurts them. I think they kind of wish that McDavid could pull like a Gretzky and be sent off to L.A. or New York or heck, even Boston or Pittsburgh or just like or Chicago, like one of those original six teams, and play for them. That's kind of like the unfortunate thing that he's in Edmonton, even though Edmonton's got history and all this other stuff. But for the growth of the game, they probably would have wanted him someplace else. But
Are they in playoff contention right now?
Oh yeah, that's like I said. This Oilers team is the best they've constructed in a long, long time. They have a lot of high expectations. I mean, the West is going to be a gauntlet for sure. For like all those teams are fairly comparable to each other, and the whoever gets like the wild card spots can easily upset one of those top seeds. So I think the West would be way more unpredictable than the East. Like the East, I don't want the Panthers to face the Bruins. I want them to get that first wildcard spot. We can stand with the Canes. We've already beaten them once this year. So I'm trying to avoid Boston at all costs. And aside from that, like I mean, the Bruins have just been up and away, just better than everybody else. It's kind of why the second round is going to be really interesting, because it's either the Lightning, who've been the top dog in the East for the last 3 years, or it's the Leafs, the Bruins are the bane of their existence. So that'll be a really interesting series either way. Anyways, yeah. Any other story, Andrew?
Yes. Men's Frozen Four wrapped up
that
this
concluded.
weekend.
Did Quinnipiac win?
Yeah. Quinnipiac won. I watched the tail end of that game, and that was hell of an ending. Minnesota was up 2-1 pretty late. The Quinnipiac and Minnesota was going for their 6th or 7th championship. Quinnipiac was going for their first in literally any sport, not just hockey, any sport. And so their coach pulled the goalie. Quinnipiac's coach pulled the goalie pretty early with like 3 or so minutes left in the third period. It worked. That was a gutsy pull on his part, to pull him that early, but apparently that's his thing, is pulling goalies early. So it worked here, gutsy. They scored, they tied it up pretty late, and then they went into overtime, and Quinnipiac scored in 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the NHL shows were showing off the highlights of that. Yeah, so congratulations to Quinnipiac. What are they, the Wildcats or something like that? They're some sort of cat.
Bobcats.
Okay, there we go, Bobcats. Okay, we're in hour 37. The Heat are losing, Charles.
All right, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to talk about why I hate the play-in.
Do it.
All right, so I guess I'll lead it through. All right, so I remember 3 years ago. Remember, the play-in was, for those who are not
Bubble.
initiated, the concept of it was to get in the idea that 7 and 8 seeds are penalized, and the teams that are 9 and 10 seeds that have some star players that are basically 500 under get an advantage. And that's just how I feel about it. So that I'm not even going to talk about theory. I'm talking about reality. And this was initiated during the COVID season. Why? Because at that time, to me, it might have made sense. Why? Because there might be a whole slew of teams that their best player got the Rona. So why wouldn't you want to give them the opportunity? And the way they did the structure was 7-8 would play, and then if whoever lost out of 7-8 would go against the winner of 9 and 10. So it does give 7 or 8 loser an opportunity to get back in there again. I have always despised it. I know we love the thrill of it when the Warriors lost to whoever a couple of years ago, but if you look at the records of who is standing in place right now, like right now we're playing the Hawks, who are an 8 seed. That is where they ought to be. It's fine. They're at like 500 on the record, 41 and 41. Whether or not they won or lost this match, because remember, they shortened the season to allow the playoffs, their record is indicative of, or appropriate and proper of where they're at. So why is it that a 41 and 41 Raptors team, because the tiebreaker has to play the 40 and 42 Chicago Bulls? If anything, doesn't it make sense that 8 and 9 should just play each other? really, right? I mean, when you look at that fair assessment,
Yeah.
sure, maybe, but you look over in the West, you have the Lakers at 43-39, over 500, appropriate. You have the Timberwolves 42-40, over 500, appropriate. And then it's just the Pelicans and Thunder. The Thunder are 40-42. The Pelicans are 42-40. And you want to do tiebreaker or best and record. And I bet you if you look at conference or division, this is the time where actually division games should matter, right? To help you, possibly. Or his conference record. But you can sell me on 8 and 9 playing against each other because the whole thing is everybody gets an opportunity, but it's fair. But it's not fair because here's the thing about basketball. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, the under 500 team, 500 team beat the team over 500. That happens all the time during the season. Even the best teams, the 1 seeds, lose to the 16 and 41 teams, man. Like, I hate it so much. Am I nervous by the fact that he are probably going to lose this game and then lose against the Bulls and Raptors? Sure. But the idea is that we shouldn't have to be in this position. No team. I'm not even talking about preferential treatment because the record speaks for itself. It was fine in practice for the Rona season. Sure. I didn't like it then, really. I don't like it now. And the only fair argument that you could tell me is players who have mid-season injuries that are star players that really are the Bradley Beals, for example, even though he can't seem to elevate the Wizards if his life depended on it. But he's just my prime example. Or the Dame Lillards, right, if they weren't already sucking. But maybe they can come back to help out. Sure, but the play-in just doesn't hit the effect of what I'm looking for because the Bulls are just a cluster. I don't want to curse that badly, but they're a cluster buck of bad talent that's misappropriately used. So what do they need to be for? Toronto, it's really just the Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby show, and Nick Nurse doesn't even really want to be there anymore. The Atlanta Hawks are just a team in transition, as it should be anyway. So if they're the 8th seed, though, so they still get the chance. The Lakers are the Lakers, so good on them. They have star players. They would probably be higher if nobody was injured. But it's not like the 7th seed's the depth seed for a team with that injury disparity. While we're talking about, like, those teams that are really just on the low end seed that couldn't make it, but they're just making it because they're last man standing, then they're going to get slaughtered in the first round. But maybe sell me on 8 and 9. Maybe sell me on 8 and 9 because here's the thing too, guys. If you're the 7-8s, you're not getting advantage in the home field anyway. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's the whole purpose? You don't have division record, but conference record matters. But I'm sick of it. And I would still have this position if the Heat weren't in this position. Because at the end of the day, okay, we lost the AFC, fine. But you shortened the season for meaningless games. I'd rather just all teams get that non-additional game and just get the rest to prevent from any injury because we're dealing with old-ass bones Kyle Lowry. And it's just no reward on it because I have, aside from that Warriors game, I think it was against the Timberwolves, right, where they got booted out. I'm thinking, I'm speculating. I'm sorry, guys. But it really doesn't give me that feel-good jollies because if the whole contention is supposed to be what's a fair play and it goes to show that lower seeds can still be the 1 seeds, show me the play-on teams that were under 8 that won a first round out of the playoffs. Please. I don't think anyone has. So this is all for. I hate it. I despise it. I think the seeding is appropriate. I do not take the Lakers as being a pure 7 seed because I think everybody's just injured and now they have the mechanics of what makes work for a LeBron James team.
And
but I look at
it's kind of like they're trying to resolve a problem
have.
that kind of didn't really exist before. I mean, heck, was it the 99 New York Knicks were like injured to hell and they were an 8th seed? But really, they shouldn't have been an 8th seed. They really were more like a 2 or 3 seed if everybody was healthy. And they go off against the Heat, and you basically had a 1 versus 2 in the first round. But they got healthy at the right time. So there's kind of like a problem. Yeah, I could see 8 versus 9 as a wild card game type of thing, and just okay, 1 game playoff.
Sure,
we'll see if you get the 8th seed.
It's a tiebreaker.
Yeah, because like the 8, like it just seems kind of. It's like, oh, we're trying to create more playoff games, so some of these like mediocre to awful teams can have like one more playoff game. But like you're the 10th seed, you're not getting a home playoff game ever.
Yeah,
you'd be lucky to make it to the first round.
Play up. But that's the thing. It's also pathetic to kind of play up, a 9 seed or a 7 versus 8 and a 9 versus 10 and a 10 versus a 7, for example. Whatever the numbers are in seeding as something important. Really, it's just like, what if you just ran out of gas? I don't like it. I believe, despite what they say, it was an initiative put during the bubble season because the idea was anybody could have gotten the Rona. So, with that protocol and safety that you had to do, believe it or not, in basketball, folks, sometimes your one-star player who's out for, a couple games leads to a losing streak because you have built around that. I just hate it so much. I don't care if we're getting blown up by 15. If we lost, we lost. I've always held this position where I don't feel good about it because it's just cheap thrills and no one's really enjoyed it. Because I'll tell you what, man, ain't nobody on that Bulls team that I want to see. Ain't nobody on that Toronto team I want to see. Ain't nobody on, the Thunder, the Pelicans that I really want to see. Zion's not even playing. If anything, it's a tribute to CJ McCollum, who is carrying the mid flag over in Portland with Dame, doing it from there. And then Oklahoma, can anybody name me a player besides Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Go ahead, please. What's their coach's name? Because the reason why these are rebuild teams. These are rebuild teams, or they're overbloated contract teams, because that's essentially what kind of like the Pelicans are, kind of what the Bulls are, right? You can sell me on 8-9. I would be okay with 8-9 if it's a tiebreaker, but when you're under 500, we don't want to reward it. We gave that critique the NFL when you had 2 7-9 teams for the NFC South going in there when it was the Panthers, and a couple years back when it was the Seahawks. So maybe it wasn't a couple years back; it was more like 10 years back. Damn it, I'm old. I just hate it. I always hate it. Do better. The intent of it is fine, but they're going to keep it forever. I'm just like, I'm not going to watch the playing game. I'm not even watching with my own team. I'm playing Black Ops, man. Like, please. I hate it so much. Other news about basketball, because I think I'll harp on it and transition there. The Mavericks are out. There's accusations about tanking. It wouldn't surprise me. That team, trade all the marbles for Irving, and it didn't work out well. I think the bigger question is that I've said it before. I'm going to bring it back to it. Is Jason Kidd a good coach? And I've kind of said no, because when you look at the pieces he had in Milwaukee, and mind you, that roster wasn't fully bloated, and they had a young blooming Giannis who wasn't Giannis yet, and then Middleton who wasn't Middleton yet. But the guys had some opportunities. So my whole thing is like, if you want Irving, that's fine. You're going to keep Luka, but do you need Kidd? Just saying. Other proponents of what I want to talk about, it's ridiculous that the Bucks themselves are that good when I can't say that any of their players are being exceptional, even Giannis. And Giannis is still a great player by every means doubt and necessary, but it feels like that team's always slept on. And it just surprises me. And then the last thing I want to touch about on it is the NBA race going from there, because I sent you guys the tweet of it where DeMarcus Cousins, of all people, said it didn't feel right to say that three MVP, league MVPs for Jokic means that he's up there as great of all time or better centers because he hasn't won any championships. And last year we hated the Paris Arafaris or whatever his name is. But you guys know me. Part of the problem is my petty is too petty to allow me to be too petty. I have to be objective. The man's stats are out of this world. I don't care how many 30-plus games Embiid has had, and their seeding are both appropriate of where it's at. But Jokic as a center is dictating the entire pace of that team, and he was so close to averaging a triple-double as a big. I think he's only under like 0.6 to get a full triple-double. That's amazing. And he was doing it the last couple times, and I was a little petty for it, but it's the same way how I felt about, Harden when Giannis won, like the second one I said should have been Harden. I can look at it objectively because it's the state of the game. So is it the fact that we're afraid of, are we afraid that it's the big man always win it? Because there's plenty of guys who are always in there, but is it the fact that it's a high caliber level? Because if you're a player who revolutionized the position, which is what he's doing, and also let's give credit to Malone as well as the coach and the system they have, because aside from Jamal Murray, everybody else is just kind of like a bag man handing it over after you just checked it out at the register, right? Anybody who's worked in grocery world. I think you have to give some credence. And the idea is, how far can championships go? Because we call Barkley one of the best bigs out there. Man went to the finals once and didn't get there. And also it's the reality that it is at the end of the day, I won't say it's a 15-man sport in basketball, but at least it's a 7-8-man deep end. He's been to a couple of finals. He may never go to a finals, but I think winning who's won multiple MVPs that are in the Hall of Fame? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that might be lower than you think. And it is kind of amazing because at 27 or 28, he's got it up for him to get at least 3 more, because if you're the best at what you do and the best at that position, then you're the best, right? It's sick to say that because I've seen teams win it.
Yeah, I mean, I just, it just kind of goes to
it's just so weird to see a former player say that.
Yeah, I know, but he's kind of it kind of sucks that he's kind of been into that meld into the mindset of NBA discourse, which I think has been ruined by ESPN and First Take and just the all or nothing type of thing. Like, oh, he's got 3 MVPs. Okay, we have to talk about him being a GOAT. Like, really, does it have to be that automatic conversation? It can't just be like, oh, well, he's an automatic Hall of Famer. There you go. We can put that into the conversation right there for him. But I can't. I'm not going to be like, oh, GOAT and all these other things. But it's like, why are we talking about this right now at this point? And
I don't want to chase Michael anymore, too.
Yeah, that's the other
like.
thing. People are trying to shake that too. Yeah, it's always going back to that conversation. And it's like, well, can't guys just be good? It doesn't seem like it. Like in other sports, I mean, yeah, NFL, I guess you can say that too, but it's not as much as the NBA. Nobody talks about it in the NHL. Nobody's talking about GOATs or anything like with McDavid or anything like that. Or
I know
Ovechkin.
Keto within 6. My shit talk about the play-in is motivating them.
Ovechkin with
They went from being down 15 to down 6.
Or Crosby. Nobody's like, oh, he's the GOAT. There's not really much NHL discourse with regards to that. I mean, yeah, some people are like, oh, well, it might be Gretzky, or it might be Bobby Orr, or it might be Gordie Howe, but nobody really gets into that conversation because different eras, different players. I think any NHL fans kind of find a good way to compartmentalize that thing. And then baseball is just about the numbers as much as anything like that. Nobody's really talking about GOATs for the most part, aside from like everybody acknowledging Barry Bonds and things like that. But nobody really says the GOATs because there's several different ways you can kind of interpret that in baseball with numbers, with eye test, all kinds of stuff. So it's really NBA discourse, which I have a problem with this conversation. So, you know what, DeMarcus, fine. Boogie, I like you and everything. Have fun in Puerto Rico, but I don't know about this one, man. Okay. All right. We're at.
Yeah. And
I just want to add, I just want to add something really quick. It's semi-related. This whole, I get that GOAT is an acronym or an initialism for no, it's an acronym for greatest of all time. And I get that's a recent invention, but it bothers me a bit because when I was growing up, when you called someone a GOAT, it meant they were a scapegoat and they were on the hook for something and they were blamed for something that may or may not have been entirely within their control. You know, Bill Buckner, he was the GOAT. He was a GOAT. So I still find it weird that people are using GOAT in a positive connotation now.
Well, I mean,
it took me a while. It took me a while to get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it's a good thing, right? You know, Bill Buckner's life was completely, you know, it was horrible after that. Sheesh. Another reason why you can hate Boston fans. And, I mean, Steve Bartman, the same thing. But yeah, man, words change. It's the English language. You know, things change all the time. Cap means lying now, you know? Bet, all kinds of stuff. So,
no cap.
There you go.
You gotta say like no cap. I've never heard anybody say cap.
Yeah, no, I've seen cap.
No cap.
I've seen cap.
I have not seen cap.
But if I try and say, I'll be hell. How do you do, fellow kids?
I've only seen no cap used ironically.
Yeah,
I watch a lot of stupid stuff on YouTube, so I hear no cap a lot. So the presidential tiers, presidential tiers use that a lot when they're in agreement.
You're watching all those AI videos.
I love it. Like, you know, I am past that point of needing it right now, but I'm gonna put it on blast now because I know we're gonna transition to the cage, which is gonna be short.
Yeah, we're at hour 54.
The draft is coming soon. I'm never gonna get my fast food draft. I promised you kids, we're getting the fast food tier.
Yes,
at some point
we're doing. Oh yeah, so this year, yeah, the NFL draft is like in 2 weeks, right? In 2 weeks. So.
Yeah,
I think we're not going to be doing a regular show that week. We're going to make our show the NFL Draft Watch Party because Charles had an idea of doing a video game character draft. where
I did. Damn.
we do the first round. And if there's 3 of us, then we get let's just say 30 picks. We won't do like 32 because it's uneven, but we'll each get like 10 picks of like video game characters. Like we give our reasons, we're on the clock, that type of stuff, and then just have some fun with it. And just have a theme to it this time, and I won't go completely insane because that's my thing every year. I watch the NFL draft and I don't give a shit, and that's the whole point of me enduring.
You cannot be more hurt than you could not be more hurt than I was last year. So I don't want to hear about
that's the only reason I survived last year. That was great.
Well, we had the cereal draft. We had that
one I survived because of you. Yeah.
Yeah, John Robinson did the Caesar to Charles draft.
Yeah.
And then this one could be either the video game draft or I'm getting my fast food tier draft. I'm getting something draft out of this, okay? Because I look forward to it for the whole silliness because it is so unfiltered, because it's telling us it's satire, really, where I can find more interesting as a draft than prospective college players who are not even like half of them are going to be out of the league in 5 years. I know that sounds terrible to say, but go look at the last couple of drafts and then come back to me and tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're hour 56. So let's head on over to the cage and wrap this up.
All right, I'm just looking at that score. We're down 7. So, welcome everybody to your weekly Truplex, The Cage with Charles. Remember, wrestling is not fake. It is scripted. It's a stage fight. It's a song and dance. It's ballet. It's poetry and motion. It's a soap opera. It's men and women being the holy hell of each other, chasing legacies, establishing their legacy, chasing championships, trying to get over that mountain, get over the hurdle, and then dealing with that post-mania clarity, right? It's a shorter show today because I emphasize so much on WWE. They're in post-mania world. We're getting Cody versus Brock at Backlash. Roman's not defending the title. I'm giving you guys some insight on WWE right now, so it's easier. NXT's on right now on USA. Go watch it. AEW Dynamite is going to be in Sunrise on the 26th of Wednesday, but I have endoscopy the day before. I was contemplating it.
And that's before the draft because that's on a Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to also just sometimes, be an adult. And I'd be interested in seeing a Dynamite, if they have a card. The matches are always quality because remember, you get that, but then also you have the tapings that follow afterwards for AEW Rampage and then Ring of Honor. So Charles will be getting like 4 or 5 hours, but I don't know. Like we'll see. We'll see. I have some time off, but I'm already taking time off the day before because we have to see what's burning up my stomach because it's not my love for Vince McMahon's mustache. I'll tell you that now. Bringing it all together. But WWE real lightly on the points. They're in the transition phase of Mania to the next big bill for this next several months for Backlash in May that they're going to have in Puerto Rico. Bob Bunny is going to host it. I will probably I'll be watching it with an accent that day. I have enjoyed him. I'm just saying, if I'm going to get my Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio match, I'm happy. I'm all for Hispanic Unites, parenting, coming into getting the chanclas together. And I'll get my chanclas with my Bad Bunny music in the background. Raw had some issues yesterday because there was travel issues where people were delayed getting to Seattle, so they had to kind of do a makeshift show. But the thing I kind of hate about Twitter, and and follow us on the Twitter, FJOJR, Charles the True, Dan Frijole, sports _goofs. Am I right? Did I finally get it right?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I'm learning. Is how they'll let their paranoia, their fear of Vince McMahon coming back into place because there was rewrites of what was the original build matches of the night. And then, half the people couldn't make it because of travel issues, but everybody's already speculating Vince is ripping up the scripts because that's what he was known to do. I still think Vince is in play, of course, but maybe he's just like, all right, I kind of look like a dick with my Dick Dastardly mustache, so let me ease up and let Hunter take the ball. But Raw was better. SmackDown seemed to be better. NXT is doing its own gig, so we'll see where it takes me. So there's on that. New Japan, I want to highlight it. There's a new Decepticon champion, aka New Japan world champion in Sonata, who had left Los Ingobernables de Japón, joined the faction of Just Five Guys, which I'm hoping they rename, but I kind of love it though, because if their ring gear is the red and white that Five Guys has, I'm all for it. He went against Okada. They have some history at Genesis, and my thing with Okada, he feels like a placeholder champion because you have no idea how to make a big new star. Jay White left, and I like Jay White. There was some Rumors about him going to WWE and that higher ups screwed that up. I never thought Jay White was going to WWE, despite what the info sessions be. I always felt that AEW, which is where he went, was going to have the best opportunity for him to thrive and have his own creativity and still be part of the international play of Bullet Club, because he was a leader of Bullet Club before he lost some matches, because he's still Bullet Club, but not in Japan, right? He had to do the whole loser leaves New Japan match at some point. So Sonata won in a good battle against Okada. I think this is good because he changes the look. Sonata had this whole beard, blonde hair. He switched it. He looks like Kiryu, really, if you want some honesty. If you had to put a professional wrestler as him, go ahead and type Sonata, Sanada, and then you'll be like, man, that is Kiryu Kazama right in front of me. I like the look. I like the approach. He was wearing suits. He was taking it seriously. He was cracking some skulls coming into it. Him and Okada won it, and this is his first reign, his first meaningful reign with the championship. I think that has a lot of importance because he wasn't really given a lot of good opportunities, in my opinion, when he was teaming with Evil for the tag titles, or when he was going for the U.S. championship or the openweight or the never openweight championship. But this is interesting. This might be the new push for bigger stars because they need to get a little bit younger. Not the blonde hair, Sonata, as you see. That's from the old one. But
yeah, that's the videos. This is on their official account, so there's less of they've got. But okay,
they're killing me. They're killing me because you'll see him, you're like, damn. But good for him. I'm kind of happy for it because I thought he should have won a couple years ago when he won the G1 Cup. I think when he won the G1 Cup, or was it the New Japan Cup? He just won the New Japan Cup. The G1 Climax is coming back. Not G1 Cup, but G1 Climax is coming back. There he is. Like, do you see him?
Yeah.
Is that not Kiryu? Like, I feel like it is. Handsome, suave man, I'll tell you that. So it's good, and then we'll get more excited to it. They announced the G1 Classic is coming in June. I'm intrigued because I think you're going to get some AEW talent as well and Ring of Honor talent, so that can give some diversity. And they're going to be building new stars, but this is a good step forward for New Japan to kind of find its footing because the product got very stale. Even though my boy Shingo Takagi, we love Shingo, we love the Last Dragon, was holding up a little bit. It's kind of tough. And they also have the Forbidden Door. I almost said Forbidden Door opening up, but I caught myself from saying that. But they have the Forbidden Door pay-per-view AEW in June, so a lot of things coming into play. And then Impact, Josh Alexander had to vacate the Impact title because of injury. I think I sent to you guys where his son was there, and he took the title away because he didn't want to vacate it. A little bit tugging at the heartstrings. Wrestling is a soap opera sport, but it's going to be Kushida versus Steve Macklin for that title. Man, I like Kushida. Macklin, I remember seeing him live at NXT when they came to Fort Pierce, and he was called to the main roster briefly, but then there was some politics that kind of screwed him over and Wesley Blake over because Riker kind of said some stuff, about that the pro-Trumper stuff coming in, and that affected the people that was in that stable. So Macklin's probably going to win. I think he was going to beat originally Alexander before he got injured. You know what never gets beat? Raid Shadow Legends. Download now, as it just came onto my Twitch stream. So there you go. Look, I did my part, kids, and you can too by watching wrestling and getting Vince McMahon fired. Please, he's never going to get fired, and it's going to hurt my soul. But we hate him so much. More than 600 different champions at Raid Shadow Legends. In-game rewards. I'm just reading off the script there. Bring it back to the real world. So Impact may or may not get interesting. AEW, I already told you they just signed Jay White. He's a big player, man. I don't know where he's going to fit into the story, but you can keep him as a main event exclusive right now. MJF, their AEW champion, is feuding with everybody, feuding with Darby Allin, feuding with Jungle Boy, feuding with Sammy Guevara. They have enough potential to kind of make a multi-man match or let him go successfully against the Pillars. The storyline's still going there. Jamie Hayter's kind of at a standstill right now for me. I don't know who she's feuding with in full, but I feel like she's kind of taken the backdrop. They have Battle for the Belts, which was an additional hour programming on Friday. But I'm starting to get invested to watch again because and this is where I'll highlight it, I am completely for the Blackpool Combat Club going against the Elite. The Elite was who? Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks with their boy Hangman Adam Page. They split up, obviously. Hangman went to go do other things, be a champion, went against Kenny back in November Revolution a couple of years ago. Kenny and the Young Bucks were heel. Kenny was injured, gone for almost a year, came back, they reunified, got the trios titles, but Hangman was kind of their way in the wings, not sure if he can join them back. Blackpool Combat Club consists of John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, formerly Cesaro, and then Wheeler Yuta, and also Daniel Bryan. He had just lost lost an Iron Man match against MJF. We don't know if he was going to turn heel or not. And then what happens was he went heel against against Kenny Omega, and then Paige, because everybody's injured, kayfabe. So Paige came out to go fight them 4-on-1, and then you see Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry, I said Daniel Bryan. My bad, Bryan Danielson, because he's not Daniel Bryan anymore. This is what happens when you don't script train me, guys. I'm gonna send it back to the writers and fire them for it. But Bryan Danielson on the mic was calling him amateur, and he hates amateurs. He hates sports amateurs. It's all about wrestling. I'm for this. Whether that leads to a blood and guts match, a stadium at the Stampede match, or just men being the holy hell out of faction, because anytime Bryan Danielson's a heel, I'm a happy camper. He's just so good into it. He's one of the best wrestlers out there. I'm always a fan of watching him, but I like Hangman. I like the idea of the Elite getting back together to beat the hell out of everybody. It really has a good story to portray, and it gives Moxley something to do that doesn't involve him being in the title chase, because that's where he was for so long, given everything that's going with CM Punk. Last week, FTR won the AEW Tag Team Championships against the Guns, but the Guns won me over. Even though their wrestling is not to my favorite, they still have to get seasoned a little bit. They came out to 50 Cent's Many Men, and it was just beautiful because it caused me to listen to the Get Rich or Die Trying album. And if you had that effect on me, something's good, because wrestling's about the touch points. So I'm going to leave it at the cage, because I'm going to segment to one thing that that Francisco didn't have, the Frankly Frank. And maybe we should end on that one.
That's
just
right.
One album. People are waiting. So why not put it on to something different than just the wrestling segment?
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I was distracted because the Marlins are spanking the Phillies, and Luis Arias, who's been the best trade Kim Eng has had so far in her career, he just hit for the cycle. So it's the first time a Marlins player has done that. So it's been 30 years, and this is the first player to ever do it. So he's a beautiful, sexy man.
The first time in franchise history?
Yes, he's a beautiful, sexy Venezuelan man. So I'm so glad he's here.
We have a cold job, boys.
Oh,
we have another cold job.
So we got a cold job. I got a new man crush with the Marlins.
You know what? I'm not going to say it's a cold job, because even though he gave up 2 runs, he only had 3 strikeouts. I expect better of you. I'm still happy. He's 3-0. His ERA is 1.4 receiver.
Alrighty.
I'm not used to that kind of.
Oh, and by the way, the Rays are now 11-0.
Oh,
beat
boy.
the Red Sox 7-2.
Baseball is
some
good.
Teams in the AL East play real teams, and some teams don't. Sorry, I had to take the jab. But frankly, Frank,
like I said in the chat, Charles.
Trash.
I get that these aren't the best teams.
Trash.
Well, the Red Sox are trash, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. To go 11-0 in any stretch at any point in the season is really impressive.
Yeah, it's like the first team since '87 to be 10-0.
Yeah, I told you outright.
This is 1980. It just came up on screen. 1981, Oakland.
Oh wow!
Was the last team to go 11-0 to start the year.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. So yeah, frankly, Frank. So the last 2 musical recommendations, I was able to get them in, especially Andrew's. I got his in today. So, Charles, you had suggested to me Kavinsky, the Reborn album. And Andrew, you had sent me Garth Brooks, No Fences. So we'll start with Charles. Charles, I felt like I was... you sent me synthwave, right? So that's the style of music, the genre that you had sent to me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I felt like I was playing Hotline Miami again, which is always a good feeling to have. I mean, that's what the music's on. Like it just took me back to Hotline Miami. That's a fantastic game. So the 3 songs that I chose from here was Zenith.
I love Zenith.
Trigger. And Renegade. So those are the 3 that I chose.
Zenith makes me think about Cowboy Bebop's opening in a modern day setting. Not not tank, but just like any kind of that jazzy feel that they have with it.
Yeah, I got Hotline Miami vibes from it. I got like Terminator 1 music vibes from it for a little bit as well. I don't know, all around I enjoyed it. I was jamming with it. Andrew, you gave me a tough one. You gave me a really tough one. You gave me country music. And Charles was right. It was very difficult for me to get through, but there was one song that slapped. I'm telling you, right. So as much as I couldn't pick three. I only picked one, but this one slapped hard.
Okay, which one was it?
The Thunder Rolls.
Yes. Thank you. Beautiful.
That song made me feel things, man.
Listen to that song ago.
That song made me feel things, man. And he's talking about being in a place that you shouldn't have been. Ooh, man, that took me to some places that I should not have been. Here,
I want to tell you,
because there was another song that was in there that I recognized. Where it's another popular one from him that was in there that I recognized. I don't remember it.
Let me guess. I Got Friends in Low Places.
There we go. Yeah, that one. I listened to that, but I'm not. That wasn't for me. My baby mama hadn't left me, anything like that, so I didn't really feel anything for that one. But I felt stuff with the Thunder Rolls. The storm sound effects in it, just the whole overall vibe of it. That slapped. It slapped real good. That's a banger.
After the show, Francisco, I'm going to send you the link to the music video. I want you to watch that, and I want to listen to your reaction.
Okay. All righty.
I apologize for this, man.
But you got one country song out of me at the very least. There we go. Well, we're at 2 hours and 11 minutes.
Again, like I said, I'm sorry that I'm being so interrupting this episode. I'm just actually into it. Like I said, my goal isn't. Yes, I want you to hear good songs, and I'm picking songs that I think you'll enjoy. But more importantly, I'm trying to expand your musical horizon a bit and choose songs that I don't think you ever would have listened to otherwise.
Yeah,
that's kind of my main point behind it.
Well, mission accomplished. I couldn't get 3 out of it, but you sure as hell picked. I got 1, and that one was 1, baby. Yeah.
In hindsight,
I jammed hard with Charles, like the entire Zavinsky thing. Like that one, I was like, okay, I could get through all of these. Picking 3 was actually pretty hard for me with that one. But then like the other ones, I'm like, okay, but Rolling Thunder was like the Thunder Rolls, whatever you want to call it. Like that was the first one that was on the playlist that I listened to, and I was just like, oh my! It set my expectations way too high for the rest of the album, because like the rest of it was like, oh, this is just country music. What is going on? But man, that one slapped hard. I'm
glad you enjoyed at least one song, and that is a really good song.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm going after this show. I'm going to send you the link to the music video, and I can't wait to see your reaction to that one.
Well, all right, guys. So that's it for us for tonight. So, bye. We'll see you next week, I guess.
Peace.
Take care.